I think addressing the problem not like a child is a great start. Talking about it and not being like drugs are bad and you can't do them, end of story. That's the way it's always been done. That didn't work. It feels like the decisions are made by people that know nothing about drugs or the culture or the fact that they are everywhere and you need to talk about it.
The current approach to drugs doesn't seem very effective at all. It hasn't stopped people from taking them. People taking unknown substances, they don't know the quantity, they don't know what's within them. So it's actually pushed people into the underground where they don't have any access to any information on actually what they're taking and putting in their bodies.
People tackling drug crime has been going on for donkey's years and it's got worse. The war on drugs is not working, and that is now widely accepted. It feels like this huge evolution in the festival world. All of a sudden things are stepping up and we're progressing, so everyone's obviously thought, let's take a different approach.
Our policy towards drugs is that they are illegal, that don't bring them into the festival, but we acknowledge through experience that drugs will still get into the festival. So we just wanted to have a much more kind of encompassing approach, try our best to keep them out, but acknowledge that they will get in, and then what can we then do to keep people safe?
You can't just write it all off as a sort of like, okay, you're not allowed to do it, end off, because people are doing it. So you have to say, if you're doing it, what are you doing, how much are you doing, why are you doing it, and how can you do it safely?
People accept that rates of drug harm in the UK are going up. The approach that we've had that's for years centred around prohibition, centred around enforcement is not working in terms of reducing harm. So most people in the public health community are very aware that we need to take a different approach to it. Things we can do on the ground to reduce rates of drug harm.
We'd like to use the festival platform for us to be able to introduce these new harm reduction services and ways of bringing in public safety and education towards drugs.
Hello Boomtown! Listen up, the powers that be at Boomtown have asked me to come on here and talk to you guys about drugs. Now you guys already know, you've already made your decisions about this and no one's telling anybody what to do, but they've asked me to inform you about a thing called The Loop, which is an on-site, free, anonymous drug testing facility. It's at the bottom of the hill. Now so there you go, you know this deal. Find out what you've got, you can go there, you give it in, it takes a couple of hours, you'll find out whether it's concrete or whether it's cocaine. Because it's worth knowing this stuff as well. We're a community here, and we need to be wise. Drugs are dangerous. You need to look after each other, don't mix it, know what you're doing, and just enjoy yourself and have a beautiful weekend, yeah?
For me, it's complete common sense, and it's insane the stupid laws that are around it, and because of that, you get such horror stories and a kind of weird stigma.
Over the years, we have had some really heartbreaking situations, and it affects us more than you can ever imagine, really.
Eleanor, my daughter, Belinda's older sister, Iona's younger sister, and Saskia's goddaughter. She came to Boomtown working for Oxfam in 2013. She was so excited to be coming. She came with her friend on the Thursday. She'd done one shift for Oxfam. She and her friend, they'd been wandering around just looking at things. They drank some beer and they scored some ketamine in the woods, as it transpired later. And then they took it, and Eleanor lay down, and it was only a little bit, but she never got up. And it was the combination of the ketamine and the alcohol, it was beer, which killed her. She was a highly intelligent person. I would never have thought she would do such a thing, but she was inquisitive. She was a merry soul. I mean, look, here's pictures of her. Look at her, smiling away. I came and did a talk for the first time last year, and it's very hard to come here because this is my daughter's grave, basically. This is my daughter's, her sister's graveyard, so we're not coming to have fun, although it is a beautiful place and Boomtown is amazing, actually. We can see why she wanted to come. Can you hear me now? Oh, that's better.
It ended up being transformative.
It was last year.
For all of us in it together. It was,
yeah.
We made that little black hole on Earth, somewhere that You know, it's just Earth, and it was just
A nice thing for Elle.
and
Yeah.
it took that stigma away.
She was a happy person all of her life. I asked the friend who was with her, what were her last words? And her friend said, well, I can't remember, but I remember when we were taking it, I said, we don't know what's in this. And she laughed. Well, that's so typical. Her last words were a laugh. I think her first words were a laugh as well. She was always laughing. She was a happy person. Why ketamine? I didn't know anything about ketamine then. Unfortunately, I know quite a lot about it, though I wish I didn't. I never thought my daughter would take such a thing. And this is the thing, we don't know what we don't know. Eleanor didn't know how strong that ketamine was. She didn't know that the ketamine and the alcohol were a possible lethal combination.
We all, I think, feel it's important, one, to celebrate our beautiful Eleanor, but also to spread consciousness and awareness and information and education. You know, we all do an experiment with lots of different things, but it's really important that people have information. I think I can say for all of us are impressed that Boomtown has embraced this family, embraced the fact that this young woman died here, and led a major public information campaign, which I think has affected a lot of people. And I know that because I meet people all over the country at festivals who go, oh, Eleanor, that girl at Boomtown, that's not going to be me. So that's very much a part of this process and why we're here.
I'd just like to thank this family for their incredible bravery at coming back to these fields and to be sharing this story with no judgment, just open hearts and sharing it with all of us. Feels like one of the most powerful moments I've had in a field like this for a long time.
I think everyone thinks they're invincible and they don't think that they can ever die. And I know Elle didn't think she was going to die. She didn't think at all that. And
Happens to other people.
Yes.
Yeah, and just do one stupid mistake and you can just take everything away so easily.
In the UK, drug-related deaths are at their highest rate ever on record. This isn't a problem just for Boomtown or just for festivals. This is a situation right across the country. But Boomtown has had some fatalities, and so I think there was a mindfulness from everybody to help do everything possible to make sure that that didn't happen again. So there was the situation with Ellie, who took ketamine combined with alcohol, only a very small amount, a very bad combination. And I was really pleased to hear Wendy, the mother of Ellie, who was at a talk yesterday, who was saying that she supports the drug testing on site, and it's always really heartening to us to hear that they support our service and understand that we're not, we don't enter into this lightly, and we're not trying to encourage drug use or increase drug use. We're trying to flag up the dangers of drug use. Most of the people who come in our tent will have already bought drugs, smuggle the drugs in and be intent on taking them. So our view is if 100% of our service users were planning on taking the drug beforehand, we can only improve on that figure by reducing it. So in a way we see ourselves as the last line of defence.
When somebody comes in, they will come over to our intake booth. We'll have one of our members of staff will be sitting here, who will ask them, have you got a sample to drop off with us today? And they will put a little bit, about 1/20th of a gram, into their sample bag. And somebody will come out every 5 minutes from the lab and take those samples through so that we can run them through the analysis process.
When we get a sample in, first it goes into the sample tray just here. Then we put a little bit on the sample stage of our infrared spectrometer. What then happens is it shoots a beam of infrared light at our sample. That then creates a unique fingerprint which we match against our database of lots of legal and illegal drugs and other substances. And if it matches any of them, then it will tell us hopefully what it is. And we can also find out what else might be in it. This sample was meant to be, what was it meant to be?
It's a pill with MDMA.
It's meant to be a pill, and it seems to just contain lactose.
Wow. Actually, it was bought as Chinese Valium.
So this person thinks they've got ketamine, and we've just put it on the sample stage. So it's now scanning the sample, and in just a few seconds we will hopefully find a match for it and find out if it is indeed ketamine. So that we found out that that sample is indeed ketamine, so we can now feed that information back to our harm reduction worker, who can deliver the appropriate advice for that sample.
We will look up what the results of their test was, The harm reduction worker will take them through to a booth, and we will then go through some questions that help us to understand the sort of origins of the sample. So for example, if there's something on site that's being sold on site and is potentially dangerous, then we would need to much more urgently put out a warning than we would if it's been their sock drawer for 5 years. Once we've done that, we'll give them their result. When we give them their result, we'll tell them what drug it was, how that compares to what they expected to be, what the risks are that are associated with that drug, what they can do to mitigate the risks that are present.
One substance of particular concern is we've had about 7 samples submitted that were sold as MDMA, and they are actually this other drug called pentolone. It's not very pleasant at all. It certainly won't feel like MDMA, which means people might take more. If people take more than they expect, they might end up not sleeping for maybe 1 or even 2 days, which is enough to kind of put them in trouble.
1 in 5 people who used the service, and once they found out the results of the composition of their drugs, they chose to hand over the rest of what they had of that drug and have that disposed of. So immediately you're seeing a significant proportion of the most dangerous substances being taken out of circulation, and that can only be a good thing.
It could be some people's opinion that this is seen as promoting drugs, but that it feels very much like that is not the case at all. You know, we're still promoting the laws of this country, saying that drugs are illegal, do not bring them into the festival. When people look within the festival, it's actually about education.
I think it's brilliant that Boomtown have been one of the first festivals to actually get us here, and they're the biggest festival that we've done so far by a long way. But some of the other initiatives that they put in are great. So they've got Chill Welfare, who run a brilliant service.
Chill started up a few years ago. It's a non-profit social enterprise, and we specialise in providing welfare support for people that are affected by drug or alcohol issues, mental health, sexual health, and just general well-being as well. Something that we've trialled for this year that's working really, really well is we have a roaming patrol in the campsite. So we've got teams of 2 people attached to each campsite hub, and basically what they do is go through the campsites, chat to people, check on anyone that looks like they might be having a difficult time or might be a little bit intoxicated.
We're just welfare, we're just coming to check in on everyone, making sure everyone's okay, keeping safe, drinking water.
Sun cream, anyone?
Do you need any sun cream?
No.
It's not a legal requirement to have a welfare provision. There's only guidance on medical provision. So the majority of events just don't budget what it actually would cost to put on a service like this. We're starting to see some improvements in that, and definitely Boomtown are one of the organisations that try and push that the most.
Quite a radical step for any festival to take. They're putting their head above the parapet. We think we can help reduce drug-related harm on site, and we're just really pleased that Boomtown have given us the opportunity to help show that.
As a pilot year, it felt really, really successful. The Loop had more people take their services than any other festival they've ever experienced. I think it was like around 1,100 or so people. The fact that we had a reduction in medical representations due to drug taking was really amazing as well. Everything across the board was a resounding positivity in terms of that.
From where we've been to where we are now, you know, it's just an incredible step forward. I mean, this year it's just, I just feel so proud of what we've achieved this time, and I'd like to expand the drug testing facilities. We thought, God, are we going to get a couple of hundred, maybe 300 people tested? There was over 1,100 people who got tested for drug testing by the end of yesterday.
I know because of the legal issues about drugs, it's been very difficult for festivals to have a place that's safe for people to use to test their drugs. And it's something I've hoped would happen for many years.
If we look around the world at international evidence, there is no link between levels of usage and levels of enforcement. In places, other countries where decriminalisation has happened, facilities like this have provided, use hasn't gone up. Those fears have not been proven to be true.
I think club culture and more now festival culture does move these things forward. It's forward thinking and it's open-minded. It feels like this is the beginning of a long story that will end better for everybody, but it does feel like it's starting here.
I'd just like to say thank you once more to Wendy and her family, and I'd like a huge round of applause for their hearts being so open.